Alrighty guys, welcome to this episode of Aussie English. This is going to be a new type of episode, I guess, where I kind of recap the week with Kel.
Yeah.
This week's obviously been an interesting one, but Kel, I thought it'd be a good chance today to talk about your pregnancy and what's going on with you, because as of Monday this week, which was 6 days ago, you entered your third trimester.
Yes. So now I am finishing my, is it 27 weeks?
I think so, yeah. You were
Yes.
27 weeks and you
Yes.
entered the third trimester at 27.
So it'll be 28 on Monday.
Exactly, yeah. How do you feel? Because I think the last time we sort of touched base with everyone was when you were in your second trimester, obviously.
24.
No, it would have been earlier than
No.
that, right? It wasn't 3 weeks ago. It was
Yeah.
longer than that. But how have things changed since then? How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great.
Yeah?
Yeah, like it is true that when you reach your second trimester, your energy comes back. And I really saw that happening. And
You're feeling pretty good for the second trimester, right?
yeah. So it's still the same. I'm feeling good. I have a lot of energy. So yeah, just doing just carrying on with my life, I guess. Just doing normal things. I've been exercising quite a lot.
How have you been finding that? Has that been really difficult to sort of get used to? Because I know that they say that when you get pregnant, obviously you gain weight, but your balance changes because your center of gravity shifts forward, I take it, and so you have to kind of adapt to that, right? So has it been difficult walking? You definitely can't run, right?
I can't run at all.
Is that because you're not allowed to, or you just can't do it?
No, I can run. Let's say I was running 3 times a week before getting pregnant.
Yeah.
It would be absolutely fine for me to keep doing that.
Even till now?
Yeah, probably, because I haven't put a lot of weight on. It would be fine as long as if I'm feeling comfortable and I have no other symptoms or things to be worried about. The thing is, I'm not a runner, so if I try to take up running now,
all of a sudden,
that's when it can be dangerous, because I'll be stressing my body when it's already under
a lot of stress.
Have
there been any unforeseen things that have sort of popped up as you've become more and more pregnant? Well, I guess you're pregnant the whole time, but as you've become larger and larger, bigger, have there been any sort of things that have caught you off guard where you've gone, oh, didn't expect that to sort of happen, and oh, this is good, this is horrible, this is okay?
Honestly, I didn't have any issues finding a good position to sleep before. Like, I would be tired or just fall asleep. But then now it's really hard, and I guess it's the belly's bigger, and he's moving so much during the night. So he does wake me up, and
he wakes you up?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I knew he was keeping you awake, but I didn't realize he would wake you up.
He does.
No kidding.
Yeah, because he kicks my ribs or something, somewhere around
high up in the torso.
Yeah. And it hurts.
Yeah.
So depending on the position, I kind of feel oh, wow, what's that?
So what would you liken it to if you were trying to explain to obviously someone like me who's never going to have the chance of getting pregnant? What are those movements of a baby inside of you feel like? Because it gives me those horrifying images of the movie Alien, right? Where the thing comes out of the person's stomach after it's laid its egg inside you. How does it feel to...
It is so hard to explain.
Yeah.
It's the best thing ever.
Really?
Yeah, I love it. You get used to it. Like at the beginning I was like, oh my god, he's moving. I would stop everything I was doing, just hold my breath and just but
now it's more like,
now
oh
it's
my
like,
God,
okay, I know when he's gonna be incredibly active, and it's hard to explain, to be honest. I don't know. I mean, if I say it feels like something's moving inside you, it doesn't really help, right? But it literally, you feel movement inside your belly all the time. So it's like changing sides, and it's really smooth. Like he's tiny. He's not able to, but it's
pressure, is it?
Yeah, a lot of pressure in different places. Yeah, it is funny. And there was one night he had hiccups.
You were telling me that. I was
It
like,
was
what?
so-
How do you know he's got hiccups?
because I didn't know when I felt it was like that's weird because it was rhythm.
Rhythmic.
Yeah, rhythmic. Like he was kicking, but he was like it was sort of. I don't know. It was really weird, as if he was listening to music, or just following the rhythm. Like what? And then the next day, I spoke with your sister, and she was like, "Oh, the hiccups."
Yeah.
And
So what
yeah.
kind of rhythm was it? Was that like African
Like
drums?
boom, boom,
Was it samba? Was it?
Boom, 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 boom.
That's so bizarre.
It is-
I guess
it is
he needs to
different.
do that though in order to strengthen up his diaphragm, right, for breathing once he comes out. Well, and that's why he's pushing and kicking and he's strengthening up those muscles. Otherwise, they're not going to be there when he
Yeah,
comes out.
true.
He's just going to be this flat little baby that can't move, right, because he hasn't strengthened up.
Yeah, it is funny. We were talking about it the other day when we see like videos and just women giving birth and the baby comes out, it freaks out because there's so much space around.
Yeah, you always see them put their arms out, right?
like-
and they're like, oh, I've never had this much space that I can expand my body into. And then they bring their legs and their arms back
Yeah.
into their body really close. Right?
That's why swaddling is so good for them.
Do you want to explain what swaddling is?
So
It's a good word. I like swaddling.
Swaddling.
Swaddling. It's a good word.
It is basically.
I didn't know this verb also, guys. Before Kel got pregnant, I'm 32 years old and I'm an English native speaker and I had never heard this verb before, to swaddle
Yes.
something. It sounds like waddle, right? Like
Yeah.
a duck, but with an S in front of it. Swaddle.
Swaddle. So it basically is a technique that you have a piece of cloth or like a blanket, and you wrap your baby up.
Wrap.
Wrap.
Yeah.
Yes.
You could rub your baby whilst you've wrapped your baby.
No,
but-
wrap. So he is. It is tight, but it's not uncomfortable for the baby, and it's good enough. I mean, it's tight enough for him not to be able to move, like
so it
to
keeps
spread
him calm
his.
because
Yes.
he gets kept in that kind of tight
And it
position.
reminds him or her of the
being in the womb.
being the womb. Yeah, into it. There's a bunch of things you can do to recreate the environment he was before. Like, that's like 5 S's technique. So one of them is swaddling, and then side, when you put your the baby, like you put him in your arm, but like with the belly down, and then shushing, when you do like shh, shh, shh.
You were telling me about the Brazilian
Yeah.
way of doing that, right? Which is like, tss, 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 at least for your part of Brazil in the
Yeah.
north there, or from your family. Maybe, I don't know if this is ubiquitous across all of Brazil, but it was funny. Kel was like, yeah, you just go tss, tss, tss,
Yeah, and I'll explain that like in a sec. But then you have swinging, I think, when you just rock, like you just a little bit of, you dance a little bit with the baby.
Yeah.
So you have some sort of movement going on, and it apparently it does help the baby to calm down. The thing with it is so instinctive. Like every time I have a baby, not that I have a lot of babies around me, but like every time I'm holding a baby, I go like, tss, tss, tss. And I was
Yeah.
reading about, I thought
And
it
they're
was
moving
crazy.
them, right? You're moving them
Yes.
up and down and going shh, 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 shh.
I was reading about it, and I was so happy when I found out that there is actually research behind it. It's actually a thing. Like that's
Yeah.
why we do it. It is so nice, and I hope those techniques work for us.
I guess there's one way to find out. What are you foreseeing happening? How long have we got left? 3 months, less than 3 months now. It's the final countdown.
Yeah,
We're
true.
getting there. So we've got, it's due on the 10th of June.
Yeah.
So do you think, what are we putting, like $50 on if it's going to come before the 50th of June, the 10th of June or afterwards? I reckon it's going to be
I think
after.
afterwards.
No,
yeah.
you got to get before.
Oh well.
No, I can go
Yeah,
before.
I don't know.
All right, I bet you $50 it's going to come early.
Early.
Yeah.
It does worry me a little bit if it comes early, because
Well, it's a two-edged blade, right? If it comes late, it's going to be big. If it comes early, it's going to be small, but you want it to sort of
it
be on
is
the...
so funny because, to be
time.
honest, no one knows when he's coming. He can decide to come tomorrow, but the thing is, we feel like as you approach your like 32nd week or something like that, it feels okay. Somehow I'm ready for it, but it's actually not true because you're never going to be ready for it. It's going to happen.
How do you think you're going to react?
Yeah.
Do you think you're going to take it in your stride, or do you think it's going to be something where you're going to be like, oh my God?
What do you mean, giving birth or raising a child?
I mean, when you suddenly, your waters break, right?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you know, shit gets real, right? Where all of a sudden the penny drops and you're like, oh my God, this is happening, right? Because for now, it's kind of like the thing's there. And it's sort of like, I remember when I had to get my wisdom teeth out. This is a weird analogy, but I had to get my wisdom teeth out, and it wasn't real until the day that I was in the car driving to the surgery. And then it was kind of like, crap, now I feel nervous. So I know until that happens, at least with the birth and your pregnancy, it's like, okay, yeah, it's happening, but there's no kind of sense of, for me at least, there's no sense of anticipation or dread in the way that, like, you know, it's not, I'm not thinking about all the time. It's not like, oh God, here we go, like it's going to happen. But I know on the day, as soon as your waters break, that's going to hit me.
Yeah.
That's when it's going to be like, oh Jesus. Like, get in the car, get to the chopper, get to the hospital.
It is hard to explain because part of me is worried about the pain, obviously. And, you know, if you know you have something uncomfortable, you have to go through it. You won't feel, you know, comfortable with it. You feel a bit nervous, I guess. That's for everyone. But the other side, there's another side of me that is like, really, I just want to do it. Like, I just want to get it done.
Yeah.
Like, and then I don't have to
Think about it.
Well,
then that's what happened to me recently, right?
Yeah.
So we went to the doctor because I had to get a prescription filled out, and I talked about this in the video about meditation that I put up recently on YouTube. And we went in there, and I was like, you know, can I just get this new prescription? And she's like, how's your liver? I'm like, what? And she's like, when was the last time you had your blood checked to have a look at your liver and how it's functioning? And I was like, I don't know, 5 years. Maybe 5 years ago. And she was like, yep, blood test. And so as I said in the video on YouTube, I absolutely hate needles. I don't know. I feel like such a wuss, such a chicken when it comes to needles. Kel has her things with bugs, although she's doing very well. Yes, today we had a praying mantis, a little insect that catches flies. It was on her hand. She was loving it. But so I said straight away, okay, all right, book me in now. I'm going to go over there and get the blood because it's going to freak me out. I don't want it hanging over me, you know, because chances are I'll freak out and not do it, right? If I have to book it in and then come in. So went straight over there and did it, freaked out a little bit, but got it done, smashed it out.
You did really well. I mean, if I didn't know you were like nervous about it, I would be like, he's fine, absolutely fine.
It's sort of like birds, you know, how birds go to the vet and when they're sick, you don't know that a bird is sick until it's dead. Do you know what? Because they're so good at hiding any kind of weakness. That's a really funny thing. Maybe it's just me because I'm a biology student. But anytime you see a bird that's been injured, you know, usually you think, oh, it doesn't look that bad. And you put it in a box and, you know, take it to the vet and it's dead when it arrives.
Wow.
Yeah. So quite often it's like that with birds. They're just very good at hiding how bad things really are. And I think I'm the same with having to have my blood taken. I was sitting there literally shitting myself. Just like, don't think about it. Don't think about it. Talk about something else.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It was so much better that you just did it. Like,
well, and it's unfair, right? Because you can't do that with pregnancy. You can. It takes 9 months, 10 months for it to wind up, right?
Yeah. But yeah, I guess it's. I understand how you feel about, you know, needles and things. It's just it's this one uncomfortable thing you have to do, and part of you is like, I want to avoid it, and the other side of you is like, I just want to get it done, and I don't have to think about it again. So that's pretty much how I feel about it.
It's a peculiar thing, right? Because it's about your health, it's about your well-being, you know, and yet a lot of us are like that when it comes to things that are related to health. Going to the dentist, going to the doctor, getting surgery, when you've got cancer or something. A lot of people are like, ooh, I don't want to go through that, even though it's in your best interest, but it freaks you out, right?
It is funny. I was thinking about it the other day. Even calling the hospital, I think twice and then 3 times and then 4 times before like, okay, I need to call the hospital. Like the other day I had some weird pain and it really felt like contractions. And I'm like, okay, I'll call the midwife. And then it took me 3 hours. The pain went away and I was like, oh, well, I'm fine. I'm not calling. It's just so...
What were they called again? They were Braxton Hicks contractions, or what were the ligament stretches that happened?
Round ligament pain.
Round ligament pains.
But I don't know what it was.
It was one of the two.
Yeah. One, Braxton Hicks are not supposed to be painful.
Yeah. Well, it probably wasn't that.
Yeah. But then it was way too strong to be round ligament pain.
Yeah.
So I don't know what happened. I'm sure everything's fine. Like I wasn't bleeding or anything, but
far out.
It was scary. And but it was good that it happened because although I wasn't crying or anything, but my blood pressure went really low and I was feeling sick, but I was freaking out. But it was good that it happened because now, let's say it happens again and it is I'm having contractions, right? I have to be calm. I can't let the fear or whatever it is to take over me.
Well, so it's one of those things too. It's crazy, right? Because as a man, we don't ever, at least as far as I know, experience pain like that where it's part of a positive process in your body, right? There's not ever going to be anything that a man has to go through where his body is going to suddenly give him sharp pains repeatedly, whether during a period of time or at the end of it. Yeah, that is a positive thing for the body, right? So it must be so weird being pregnant and having to, at least for the first time, having to sort of negotiate those waters of, uncertainty and this is really painful, and under normal circumstances I would be like, get to the hospital, but in this case it's like, okay, maybe it's my uterus stretching or something that's positive and the baby needs this to happen, so I can't imagine that situation. You're very brave.
I just hope like next time it happens, whatever it is, if it is real labor or if it's just like my body getting ready for labor later on, I just hope I can just, be more calm and just deal with it in a better way. Because I didn't know what it was, and I'm like, it's way too early for me to give birth, and I got nervous about it. It is a cycle. You can't. Yeah. If you feel so nervous, you can't control yourself. The pain's only gonna get worse. Yeah. So it is important for me to it might happen again, and I just have to be calm.
All right. Well, man, almost 20 minutes of talking about pregnancy.
Oh, wow.
Thanks for all of the men and non-pregnant women. It's probably the majority of the listenership for hanging with us. What did you want to talk about now? There were a few things to chat about.
What about your Portuguese?
What about my Portuguese?
In your new YouTube channel that's going really well. That.
It's pretty bizarre. It's bizarre.
Great. It's great.
So I recently put up a video, I guess, talking about how I recommend you guys start a YouTube channel to practice your whatever language you're learning. In this case, is for the majority of you, I assume English and maybe something else. But I thought I would sort of do the walk as well as talk the talk and give it a try. And I'd been wanting to for a while, but I hadn't thought my Portuguese was really up to scratch. I didn't think it was good enough. And then I realized that with Kel here, I can just write the transcript and then run it past her, see if I'm, not making any really dumb errors and my point is coming across in the videos. And also obviously killing two birds with one stone, where I can do videos in English and then I just repeat that same video but do that in Portuguese. Yeah. And yeah, it's been good. I think it's really helped because you have to go through the process of, obviously I'm already making a video in English about teaching English that I want to do on YouTube, and then I have to translate that entire thing in Portuguese and make sure that it makes sense from the aspect of teaching from one language into the other language, right? So teaching in Portuguese, but teaching English as opposed to just in English about English. And then I have to get up and actually do it. And so it's good because I get to do it in English first. So I have an idea of, okay, this is what I want to, this sounds better. I go through this system, I do this order, whatever. Yeah. But my God, it takes a lot longer.
I love how different I think you've done 3 videos, right?
4.
4.
Yeah.
The first one, is so different from the last one, where you're so much more
Yeah.
confident and like, yeah, it's just getting better and better. I guess you just have to keep doing it.
That's the thing, right? It's just repetition,
Yeah.
repetition. But Jesus, the amount of times I have to repeat myself
Yeah.
for the most basic statement. And it's really funny too. It shows me the difference between my writing and when it comes to actually standing up there and saying the stuff that I have to say, because I can sit there and I can write and I can think and I can write out complicated sentences that are pretty long, but I didn't realize until the other day that I was shooting myself in the foot by doing that, because as soon as I was in front of the camera and I'm trying to look straight at the camera whilst saying the lines, some of them were like a paragraph long and one sentence, and I was like, damn it. Like, I can't remember the whole thing. I would read it out and I'm like, okay, it makes sense. I know what I want to say. But then I freak out about having to say it perfectly, which is the problem. And that's why the most recent video, I just sat down on the couch and just spoke to the camera. And I made more mistakes than usual because it wasn't very well planned out. But it was much more natural,
Absolutely,
I think.
Yeah, it does look. It is much more natural. There was something I was telling you today that you got to such a good level in Portuguese that it confuses me sometimes because we are trying to speak only Portuguese at home. It's been like that for a long while.
When did we start? To sort of sidetrack the story, we started that in Canberra.
In Canberra,
so that would have been what, mid last year? But we started doing maybe July, because we left in September and we'd done it for a few months before that.
Yes.
So it must have been July, where we'd been talking at home in Portuguese for maybe 2 months, and there were 4 other people in the house who were Brazilian speakers. And I think I really liked that process, because I'm not in Brazil, I'm in Australia, but it speaks to the fact that immersion really helps.
Yeah.
Even if you're not in the country.
Absolutely.
And that's the thing that, not to toot my own horn, but I meet a lot of people who are learning English and they've been in Australia for a long time, and they haven't, I've surpassed their level in English, but in Portuguese. And quite often it's because they surround themselves with their own native speakers from their own country, which goes to show that coming to the country isn't necessarily, the solution.
Absolutely.
Or the easy way of learning English. Even if you come here, you still have to do the work of, living with as many English speakers as possible, working with them, interacting with them, making friends with them, doing hobbies with them. And if you don't do that, you're shooting yourself in the foot, and it's going to take you twice as long. So, but that sucked. That sucked. My God, the number of times I was like, I felt retarded. Like, to be politically incorrect, you guys would get around a table and be, a few drinks down and be talking, 5 of you in Portuguese. And
much quicker than we would like normally.
Well, and not even that, but I know how you guys feel, like you, the listener, I know how you guys feel when you're surrounded by Australians just rabbiting on, and the pace of the conversation all of a sudden feels like it's 2 times, 10 times as fast as usual, because the difference there, I think, is when you're having a one-on-one conversation, you as half of the conversation have a lot of control over where the conversation goes, over the speed of the conversation, over the content of the conversation. And as soon as there are multiple other people in there where you all of a sudden can say nothing and the conversation continues, you lose a lot of the control, and so it gets out of your hands quickly. And native speakers anticipate so much. You don't realize how much you're listening to someone speak, but at the same time as hearing the words they're saying, you're thinking about the next thing you want to say. You're almost ahead of where they are with the words, right? And so that was a very difficult thing to learn.
Maybe that's why
Portuguese.
People feel so uncomfortable correcting non-native speakers. Like, let's say I say something that it's not correct, but you know what I meant. So you probably...
That's where you start to feel
anything.
like an asshole. And you give me the look quite often if I correct you, where you're just like, Pete.
No, it's not that.
No, but it's fair. Like, I'm not saying that because I'm trying to give you a hard time. I'm saying that because I understand, and you do the same to me. I'll say something like, I'll misconjugate, if that's a word. I'll conjugate incorrectly some kind of verb, and you'll correct me, and I'll be like, come on. You knew what I meant.
Yeah.
And you have to remember, though, as the person being corrected, it's like she's not doing that because she didn't understand you. She's doing that because she wants you to say it correctly next time.
Yes. I don't mind. I mean, when it happens, it's like, I think I feel frustrated at myself, if anything. Just like, oh, I got it wrong. Like,
Yeah.
But it's not, I would never say, stop doing that because I want to improve. Like, I want to be...
The funny thing I found, and I noticed this with you as well, and it goes back to what you were talking about with once you get to a level that you're so good that you start misunderstanding whether or not they're making mistakes, and so you automatically assume they mean what they say, right?
Yes.
So, for instance, I remember an example with you was that in Portuguese it's perfectly fine to say something like "me dá sal." Right?
Me dá o sal.
Me dá o sal. Sorry.
Sim.
Me dá o sal. There's a mistake. Me dá o sal. Give me the salt.
Yeah.
Whereas if you were to literally translate that into English, that's rude. Really rude. Because there's no please, there's no politeness.
Yeah.
Could you please give me the salt? Is how you would say it in English. So you've done that a few times where you'll be like, give me this.
Have I?
Well, not recently, but it's happened in the past. And I remember that's where we had this conversation for the first time, right? And it's so funny because your level is so high that I assume you're being rude.
Yeah.
Because there's no reason for me to be like, oh, she's just obviously, confused that she shouldn't say, because it's a correct sentence.
Yeah.
Right? There's nothing wrong with it. That is what you would say if you wanted to be
Yeah.
rude and tell someone, give me this thing, give it to me. And that's the thing that happens, right? Eventually you get over that peak of you're a beginner, you're learning the language, and even when you get things wrong, people give you the benefit of the doubt and they never assume you're being
they
rude.
Never correct you.
And then you get over the mountain, right? You get past that point where any mistakes that you make, instead of people giving you the benefit of the doubt, it either frustrates them or annoys them, right? Mm-hmm. Or,
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the time they just ignore them. But then there's sometimes things like that where there's a miscommunication and they don't take it as that. They think you're being serious or something, right?
I remember once I said something like, "You would do this, but I think we had just started dating, and I remember you got so. I mean, I wouldn't say you got upset, but because you assumed I meant what I said. You were like, "Whoa, that's a bit." But what I wanted to say was you should. It was a suggestion. And I got confused with would and should.
Exactly.
And then you said, oh, because you got to such a good level that
I assume you're not making a mistake and that you mean what you say.
Yeah.
Well, and that's it. And so if you were to use, you would do this if you use that kind of structure, it's very passive aggressive.
Really? It is so funny.
So like if I was annoyed at you, I might say, well, you would vacuum the floor if you loved me. You would do this if you blah blah blah. You would, and so it's just obviously in English in that exact sort of sequence is commonly used in that way. And so as soon as I heard that from you in that way, it seemed to be coming that, well, if you blah blah blah, you would do this, and I was like, whoa, where did that come from?
And what I actually wanted to say. It was you should do this because I think it's gonna work, or but it's funny because in Portuguese you can say the same thing. It depends on your intonation. Actually, you can be incredibly rude, saying just suggesting something, or being incredibly passive aggressive, just using different. It's just so.
Well, we had that today where a girl corrected me, right, saying that you can't say bem feito, which means literally well done. You can't say that in a positive way. At least she was saying you can only say that when you're sarcastic, and they've screwed up.
No, you can say bem feito, like well done. It is not because I remember when I was living in Queensland, my teacher he was always saying. Good for you. Good on you. Good on you.
Yeah.
And for me, it sounds incredibly sarcastic. And I thought, why is it
can be both.
Yes, it's one of those things. The same with bem feito.
Yeah.
I was like, why is he so rude to me?
Yeah.
And then he told me, no, I'm actually encouraging you.
Well, and it's all in the tone. So if someone wants to say, oh, well done, and you can hear the honesty, like, really, oh, well done. But if someone says like, oh, well done,
it's like,
all right, they don't actually mean you did a good job.
So if you say, bem feito, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's great, but to say bem feito, it's like,
that's it.
I messed up.
And that blew my mind recently with English, because quite often we know, or we realize that there are tonal languages, right? Like languages like Thai or Chinese, where if you change the tone in which you say a word, it changes the meaning, right? Like in Chinese, you can say, I think there are 4 or 5 different tone. Well, there's neutral, and then there's like sure. So and that changes the word meaning. And I didn't realize that we have that in English, but we don't use that necessarily with words. We use that for phrases, where obviously, well, you know, you realize with questions like, "You going to do this later?" And it comes up at the end.
Yeah.
But even if I was to say, what does that mean?
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And if I said,
No.
exactly, right?
Yeah.
And so one of them is going,
Yeah.
it's going upwards, and the other one is going, yeah, which is going downwards, right? And it's so funny that they're exactly the same sound, and yet they mean opposite things, and we get that from the tone.
It's the same thing with whatever. Because it also happened to me. Someone asked me, my teacher in town asked me, what do you prefer? I have 2 names. And I said, oh, whatever. But
and he was just like, Jesus,
and he was
okay.
like, oh, okay.
Because that would mean that you don't care.
I don't care. That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
I don't mind. You choose.
And that's you could say that with I don't care. It can be both. It could be like, oh, I don't care, all good. Or, I don't care.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, whoa.
Yeah.
Jesus, take it easy.
It all depends on your intonation, I guess, and how you say things.
Yeah, exactly. But man, I found too just how hard it is with Portuguese to make gains. Once you get to this level, especially when inside the household, you and I is talking, and we're just talking about the same shit all the time. And so I get really good at that, and I feel like, okay, like I feel like if we're talking about what I want to have for lunch today, I'm effectively a native. Like, I'm so good. If I want to say to you in the present tense, I am having lunch, I will nail that 100 out of 100 times. But the moment the conversation shifts onto something unusual, like today we were talking about AI, artificial intelligence in Portuguese, and I mean, I could talk about it, but the amount of effort required and the amount of forethought, I had to constantly be like, okay, can I say this, Kel? How do you say artificial intelligence? How do you say this thing of like, what was it, circumvent? I wanted to say all these words in English that come to me very quickly, but it just really shows me that you kind of build this core around the language of all the common stuff that you use, right? That helps you navigate it. But true fluency and proficiency in the language is so much more study and so much more reading and so much more television and podcasts and just I always thought, oh, you go from A1 to A2, B1, B2, and the distance between them is all the same. But it's like, it's exponentially bigger each one, right? I might be maybe B2, I would guess, at the moment with Portuguese. And then you get there and you're like, you know, I'm on the top of a little anthill and there's Everest over there. And you're like, that's C1, C2.
I noticed something interesting during our conversation about artificial intelligence. We were speaking in Portuguese. So let's say I had an advantage, but I was struggling to express my ideas because it is not something I talk about all the time. Yeah. Whereas for you, speaking a different language, you were like just saying everything you wanted to say really well because that's one of your topic interests. Like you read about it, you listen to podcasts about it. Yeah. So it all comes down to, I mean, like as a
your
suggestion,
exposure in whatever language.
You go for the things you already like in a different language. Like I can speak English, but I can't talk about artificial intelligence in Portuguese because that's not. Although I like those topics, it's not something I read about all the time.
That happened to me with birth and being pregnant, right? All of a sudden you were pregnant and I was like, Jesus, I don't know how to talk about this in Portuguese. Like I could say it in English, but even in English, I didn't know a lot of the...
That's what I mean.
Yeah, even in English, I didn't know a lot of the terms and I'm having to learn them in English and in Portuguese at the same time.
So even like say I'm the Portuguese native speaker, you did much better than me because I was out of my depth. You know what I mean? I was like, okay, that's what I think, but I don't really know how to put it.
I at least knew what I wanted to say in English, and I could sort of get around it and translate, whether or not it was perfect, you could understand what I was trying to say in Portuguese.
But I guess it's to show, like, just if you, like, say you learn in English, why you gonna learn English reading about whatever, like, surgeries or giving birth, that if that's not what you're interested in.
It needs to be relevant, right?
Yeah.
And it's one of those things, obviously, if you're listening to this podcast, if you're not pregnant and you're a man, and, single man who's not pregnant, then a lot of the vocab isn't necessarily going to be something you want to learn actively because you're going to, not be talking about this sort of stuff. But it's still good to have exposure to it and have that reference at some point, right? So that's why I like talking about these different topics with you, Kel, because lots of different words come up, different expressions, and it's just good to have at least had that passive experience with it for a lot of speakers or a lot of learners of English.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, well, we should shift on to recent events in New Zealand maybe and mention those.
It's so sad.
It is incredibly sad.
It's terrible.
So, obviously, it was yesterday, right?
Yeah, I think it was yesterday. At least.
In fact, it was yesterday at about lunchtime. A guy went into a mosque or two mosques in New Zealand and has killed like 50 people. Crazy. Which is incredibly tragic, incredibly insane. Especially when we found out later on the guy's Australian.
Yeah.
And it just seemed like a nightmare because he streamed it live online so that people, whoever knew about him could watch it.
Yeah.
But I think the craziest thing about it for me is just how much he planned it all in a country like New Zealand that has such strict gun laws. He wasn't on the radar of anyone. They didn't know who he was. They didn't think they had to worry about him at all. And he got all these guns that aren't even for sale legally in New Zealand.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and then went in and killed all these people.
Yeah, I don't know. We are always listening to crime podcasts and real crime stories and things like that. And it shows me like people are capable of the most horrible things. You just need, some sort of motivation. I don't know, whatever motivates those people, but it's just like you can't always assume, that's not going to happen. It could be Melbourne, it could be anywhere.
Yeah. And I think that's what hits home, at least in this case, right? It's like you would expect it to occur in Australia before New Zealand.
Yeah.
Like, New Zealand's tiny.
Yeah.
And it just seemed insane. But
Absolutely.
I think the thing that blew my mind on top of that was just how how well planned out it was for him to do all of that, because not only obviously did he go and kill so many people, but he's tried to do it in a way that will pit the left versus the right politically against each other. So he mentioned, for example, PewDiePie, one of the world's biggest YouTubers. He said, subscribe to PewDiePie at the start of his live stream because he knew that would get the media blaming PewDiePie, obviously, who's not going to, agree with what this horrible dude has done. And there were a whole bunch of things that he has done or said, and people that he named, like Trump, and there's a conservative woman from the US called Candace Owens, that he did intentionally, even though he doesn't necessarily like them, because he knows that that's going to get the left side of politics to attack those people. And so he was doing it not because he necessarily even knew who those people were that he was going to end up killing, but because he was just trying to sow divide between it and cause a race war or a political war between these two sides. And it's just insane that...
Absolutely. It is so horrible, as if we didn't have enough, arguments and sides and divisions and things like that in society. It's just so hard. I don't know. It is to show that there are crazy people everywhere and people that take things way too far, because I'm sure, although we do have, let's say, right and left, and people have different opinions, it doesn't mean that you can't live together, right? You can't.
Well, and that's
be
the problem. The problem
together.
occurs when dialectic breaks down, when you can no longer have conversations with people and talk about your problems. And I guess that was his thing. He didn't want people to be able to talk about their problems. He just wants there to be a conflict straight away so that, you know, hopefully, I would imagine in his mind, his side of the right wins, and you just it's weird though, because you wonder how much it's going to do the opposite of what he wants. You know, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out, and this is part of why also he didn't shoot himself or have a fight with police at the end, I would imagine, like Anders Breivik, the guy in Norway who got onto the island and killed, you know, 70 children and then just handed himself into the police. He wanted a stand, right? He wanted to be able to stand on a podium and say, this is why I did it, these are my beliefs, this is, you know, I want to be a martyr effectively. And I think this guy's going to do the same thing, where he's obviously handed himself in. He's wanting his name to get into the news. He wants to get as much coverage as possible. And it's insane that, you know, you just never would have thought in 2019 you're going to have mass killings live streamed online.
Absolutely.
That was, even though obviously now thinking about it, it's like, well, it's not very hard. You just need a phone and a gun. But it's so, for me, it's just like, I'd never even thought that someone would be that, you know, just that loopy to do that.
Absolutely. It's crazy. I don't know. After all the podcasts we listen to and all the horrible crimes and
well, and I think the biggest thing though, the reason
but
you listen to those, and the reason that so many people with this guy as well have you know, looked online, watched his video, watched the live stream, they've been watching the news, and I get sucked into it as well and want to watch the news, is because you want to understand how people like this do it.
Yeah.
You want to understand, how can someone who grew up in Australia and, at least according to the news and what he wrote in his manifesto, had a normal upbringing. He wasn't abused as a kid. He wasn't, you know, raised as a racist child. It's like, that adds all the more questions to it, right? Because you're like, how does this normal person from Australia end up killing 50 people in New Zealand, right? And going into 2 mosques and just killing these people that he doesn't even know, right? And the weirdest thing was that his manifesto was all about him being annoyed with Muslims coming into Europe and the atrocities that they'd done there in the past. So, you know, I think he's effectively blaming the Ottomans. And then he goes into a mosque and kills Muslims who aren't Ottomans. It's kind of like, it just doesn't make any sense.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, and that's the whole point. It wasn't meant to make sense. It was meant to sow divide and cause.
Yeah.
But mind-blowing.
Well, really sad. I feel really sorry for all the victims and families affected by this horrible
I can't imagine.
thing.
Yeah.
No, I can't imagine.
I hope they pull through okay, though. I know it's crazy for New Zealand, because Christchurch, if you guys aren't aware, that's the city where it occurred in New Zealand, had an earthquake a few years ago. I don't remember the exact year, but they had a big earthquake that smashed the city as well. And so loads of people died, buildings collapsed. And so, you know, it's just been one thing after another for somewhere like Christchurch. Yes. Anyway, what can we finish on that isn't such a somber note, right? Like, what else can we talk about before we end the podcast for today?
I think we covered everything. Like, everything that at least... like.
You got a baby shower tomorrow, Kel, and it's your birthday.
It's my birthday. Yay.
Are you excited?
I am. It took me a while to get convinced to have a baby shower. And I guess, I mean, I have to be honest, I'm a bit reluctant with everything related to pregnancy. I don't know.
Do you want to explain first, what is a baby shower?
Well, it's some sort of party you have. So you invite people over. You have food, drinks if you want.
But who's it a party for, Kel?
For the baby.
That isn't born yet. Exactly.
Yes, it's a party for the baby. It's a party for the girl, the pregnant lady, let's say, for her to celebrate being pregnant and for the baby to be welcomed, let's say. Pre-welcomed. And then usually, if you are really traditional, you want to have girls.
You mean girlfriends, your mates who are women come over.
Yeah. So men, some people be like, oh, men are not, invited.
I wish that had been an option.
No, but because I don't care about those things and I think it's really silly.
She dragged me into it.
I'm having, people bringing their partners and you're going to be here anyway, so it's fine.
It's going to be good. There's going to be a lot of Brazilians, so I get to practice Portuguese.
A lot of food.
2 birds, 1 stone. Let's do this. Baby shower and Portuguese. Woo! And birthday. 3 stones.
Yes.
Or 3 birds, 1 stone.
And usually get nappies or whatever you need for the baby.
My favourite kind of present. I love nappies.
People bring you stuff and that's it. But I was also saying, it took me a while to be like in the mood, to be like, okay, let's do it. And I'm doing it on my birthday, so it's actually like, it's
justified.
Not,
you can justify it. So who talked you around? Because I know
my friend Talita.
Oh, you've named her. Look out!
Yes.
Maybe she'll be listening to this podcast.
No,
You've thrown her into the shit.
I told her thank you because without you,
yeah. I wouldn't have done this.
Yes. I would just be like, oh, I don't have time. I don't have money. I don't want to have, more work to do. Or, the funny thing is usually your friends do it for you, like your sisters or, women in your family. It's not something you organize.
And obviously your family over in Brazil has just been so lazy to not fly out to Australia and organize this for you.
But she did. And, convinced me to have a party, and I think it's going to be good because who knows, maybe time flies and everyone's like enjoy it as much as you can because it gets hard and you blink and your baby will be running around, so I want to have those memories. And
I think it'll be good, but it'll be a lot of junk food.
A lot of
I'll
food.
have to behave. Far out. It's going to be a lot of food. A lot of cake.
A lot of cake.
She's already made cupcakes today.
We have cupcakes. We have 2 cakes because I got a cake as a present from a friend.
Yeah.
Your mom's making a cake.
Oh my God.
And I have,
It's funny. It's like, why can't we just make healthy food?
No,
why is there no like?
No one will come. If I say, I'm going to have vegetables, it's like,
true.
Why? No.
Far out. Well, yeah, guys, we'll have to let you know how it goes as it's going to be a big party. I'll have to try and find somewhere to hide if it gets a bit too girly and baby-y.
It's not going to be girly, but you might feel overwhelmed because you'll be speaking Portuguese and English and having to, switch all the time between the languages.
Maybe I just won't switch. I'll just stick in
Maybe
in
just
one.
speaking Portuguese and your family will be like,
guys.
What?
Yeah. I'm not following English. I don't speak English. Sorry. Not today. Every other day I speak English. Today's Portuguese.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Kel, good on you. Kel was the one who was like, get on here, we'll do a podcast, we'll chat about some stuff.
I didn't know what I wanted to talk about. I was like, let's just talk.
Yeah. Kel's like, I want an excuse to speak English. It's been too long. I've been speaking bloody Portuguese in the house.
I was with your mum today, and I put it on Instagram like, I'm so happy I'm speaking English. Because I'm speaking Portuguese all the time. But,
I'm selfish, but I need to learn as much as possible before the baby's born.
I know. And it's... fair enough. I have much more exposure to English than you have to Portuguese. So.
I know. That's it. It's the what would you call it? Like a first world problems for cross-lingual couples. I don't know.
Parents to be.
That's it. Anyway, thanks for joining us, guys, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.
See ya.